Hi. So, my name is Alex. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. This is something that I've kind of always had a dream of. I'm going to start a YouTube review kind of thing where I review different albums and different medias, hopefully maybe some like games, movies, things like that, but I have a feeling this will mostly be albums and EPs just because that's kind of what I'm into the most, and it's easiest to digest. Like I can do an album or an EP after an hour, whereas a game or movie takes at least multiple. And with an album or EP, I can kind of one-shot track it and then check it out. And I can formulate an opinion on just an album in one listen, whereas a movie or video game might be a little bit longer because I have to take breaks in between sessions and yada, 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 where I can just do one full shot listen for a album or EP or whatever form of music really becomes big, mixtapes, whatever. So, this is the first episode of a series I have yet to name. I don't have a fucking name for it because I'm not that good. I was thinking about doing gut check. Like, I listen to it once, I give you the review, but not every one of these albums is going to be one listen. Some of them are going to be multiple. Some that I don't like as much, I'm probably only going to listen to one or twice because it's not hard to formulate an opinion on something you don't like. But it's pretty hard to cohese your thoughts when it's something you actually enjoy. I'm going to be trying my absolute hardest to do this and try to make it at least a little clean in the editing process because I'm not a professional editor and I can't afford one. So, here we go. This is the album from Canada's act Arm's Length, their debut album, Never Before Seen, Never Again Found. Let's start off by, that's a fucking sick-ass band name and a sick-ass album art. I think it really fits kind of the style they're going for, and it's not something that's a the. I kind of have a thing against, like, the bands, like The Strokes, there's a the and then a fucking random noun. Or a random verb that they just named the band after. I don't know why. It's like a pet peeve thing. I don't think it necessarily changes anything. If they make a good album, they make a good album regardless. And I don't know. I'm happy to see some creativity still left in band names. All right, so I'm going to begin with an opening track, and then I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit. So the opening track is this 2-minute song that has a really good method of building foundation. A really small, like 2.5 minute song that starts building a lyrical foundation and a sound that kind of Arm's Length wants to tease at you a little bit. It's almost like they hit a minor peak in that song that you're like, wow, that was pretty sick. And it's a really good hooking song, really good grabber. It's almost like the first line in like a 4th grade essay that you wrote where they want you to write like an exclamation at the beginning of the album. Or a beginning of your essay, or like a question which you answer throughout the essay. And it's short, and it's sweet, and immediately starting the lyrical foundation that I think is well maintained throughout the entire album. It's basically all I can say about it. Good track. Overture is it's called, which I was kind of surprised that's the name of that song. It has nothing to do with like Overture. I'm going to jump around. I'm going to jump immediately to track 5. Now, there's a high chance if you do watch this video, you're either a big fan of the band and you're just kind of like looking their name up and seeing what people are talking about it, or you're someone who just happens to stumble upon this video. And if you've never listened to this album or this band, I recommend to check it out. This shit is good. But don't take my word for it. I want you to not start listening to the first song on the album. I want you to actually start on track number 5 or track number 2. Track number 5 I think is my favorite overall. I think it's a really solid song. It's one of my favorite songs of the year. I also just adore it. It is such a peak. And on the album, I'm surprised it wasn't a single, truthfully. I think if it got the single treatment, it could have gotten some real potential for more mainstream picking up the track. Formative Age is the name of the song. The beginning half, you'll see what this band is kind of selling you. It's almost like a song if a song was meant to just completely have a build-up that's still good in the build-up. It's not just like an ambient noise that's getting louder and louder while leading up to one big moment like 2012 by The Word Alive, how that has that long like drumming intro. It's not like that. It's more of like a song that is a pop song structure with really pop sensibility, which I really like. There's a reason why pop music is the most popular music on the planet, hence the name of pop music. It is just written the best. It's the easiest to digest. It's very cohesive. It's really easy to gather everything that you want to say and deliver it in one track, maintaining re-listenability, where it's not just like a Woe Is Me album where you're just rambling when there's no chorus on the first two fucking albums. You're still able to make choruses. You're still able to make those large moments at the 75% point in the song, which this one has. I think it's my favorite song in the album altogether. The beginning half of it is just masterful. The last verse of this song, I think, is what you should check out if you want to find out if what this band is selling is for you. These masterful verses and lyrical arrangements with the insight that a crowd will be climbing over one another to just scream it back into the vocalist to the point where you can not even hear the vocalist is very apparent. That's kind of the whole objective, I think, of this track. I think they wrote it for a live setting, and when I listen to it, I can really see if it were to get that single treatment, like I mentioned, I could see a bunch of emo ex-Warped Tour kids who've wanting to have that like edgy sound climbing over one another to scream this back at the vocalist in like a 500 cap room while opening for a band that going to get blown out of the water by Arm's Length opening for. That's actually kind of how I discovered them. I discovered them on the Heart Attack Man tour. Just fun fact. Also, there's a weird a theme that these guys do on this, and it keeps it a little interesting and fresh, minus the influence of other genres and sounds and albums, obviously, that they listen to that aren't in the alternative scene. There's a song with a really good acoustic twang in it. There's a song where it goes a little bit more electronic, like an electronical filter over his vocals that sound pretty cool, especially for his vocals. It's pretty impressive. It's the lyrics. The lyrics on this are so odd. They're very, very strange at some points, almost to a point where like you're reading them and you're kind of like, whoa, why would they write that? But it works with the vocalist's delivery. There's two vocalists in this band, and the way that they just deliver those weird lines is very, very interesting, and it makes for a really great listening experience. The part in Formative Age I was talking about is this rambling third verse, which starts with, "I'll give you my jacket, you can call me old-fashioned." It is such a good verse. It is almost like a rambling and a mental breakdown I can compare it to. It's done with such insight to knowing what their audience would want. It's a very fan service in a way, but it's really not. It's just that verse is a really high point in the album, and if you like that track, you will like the rest of the album. I don't think they reached that height that song quite got, but I truthfully do think that it's very good. So the main single of the album was Object Permanence, which is track 2. And track 2, really good leading single. I do think that Formative Age would have been a better single too. There's a really good outlier lines in this track. Not only a really catchy chorus, but "I'm your baby bird." It's lyrics that really stick with you, and you're like, wow, that's pretty fucking weird to hear in a post-hardcore pop-punk band kind of scream singing at me. And I really like this one. This one really grabbed me. "And on picture day, you wish you never came, swore you never smile with teeth again." It's really, really good, like, just storytelling and imagery done there, where, like, you almost can imagine a parent going to picture day or something like that for a young child who they've abused. It's really good lyrics that I feel like a lot of people will relate to. It's just good story building, good track, absolutely. I'm not going to go through every track by track. I will at the end of the video when you see, like, this little screen, which I'll post as, like, a short on YouTube and TikTok, which it has all the songs with the commentary over it at some points, talking about some of the tracks. That'll have, like, a track-by-track breakdown of what I think. The third track on the album, Aries Moth Song, which I think is a fucking really good name, because it's just a really good song name. It's a soft boy vibe, which it immediately changes from the other songs. I think it's a little bit more sadder, where the other songs are a little bit more like rebellious teen angst. This one's mix really shows how bulletproof this producer was on just organizing and balancing the album all together. And there's also a line in this which really hit me different. They don't deviate too far away from the one sound in this album. There is an oddity of lyrics where, "When your white blood cells can't count on you, they'll come for you soon." It's just so, I don't know how to explain it. It's, if you read those lyrics on just a paper without listening to the way he sings it, you'd maybe think it's a little cringe or a little like, how is he going to sing that and make it sound normal? But he does. It's not a line in a song that really was odd, that like stood out. It really blends in, and I think that's really masterful to arm's length. Tough Love is also a high point on this album. Tough Love is track 4, which also is insane. This beginning half of this album is insane. It's a high point. It starts with like this country twang guitar, and it goes to this line in the song, which is actually my favorite line in the whole album, which is take a picture because it lasts longer than your brain. And that kind of lyricism is really what bathes you in this immersion of really understanding what they're trying to say with the song. It's a song also with the line, what if this all pans out like you said, and I outlive my family and friends and they don't reach out, we'll never speak again. It really shows you that fear of getting older and fear of just creeping towards your death, which is a really heavy song topic. I feel like not a lot of songs really concentrate on that, but it also has this uplifting feeling, although the lyrics don't necessarily match it. It's almost like it brings you to this point to where you want to enjoy life a lot more than just being sad all the time or thinking about the actual lyrics they're talking about. Also, the brain comment, I kind of interpreted that in also a little bit of a different way. I also interpreted that in a way of like substance abuse and potential addiction to whether that's drugs or just simply even fucking like TikTok or something. You know, people who are addicted to that stuff, and they're just not molding memories while their brain is okay. They're almost abusing the fact that their brain is able to have that instant gratification, and it's almost like take a picture. So that's why you see so many elderly people take pictures, because it just lasts better than their brain, and it'll bring back that memory rather than them relying on their brain for that function. I don't know. It's just a really good line. It's a very philosophical way to emotionally immerse you into this track if you really read the lyrics, which, by the way, major kudos. They had the lyrics posted when the album came out on Spotify, so you can read along on release night. Really good fucking move on their part. All the songs throughout the entire album hold that quality of oddity lines and strange vocal deliveries while maintaining a very unique, fresh sound that you really can't find anywhere else. On paper, you may cringe a little bit, but the execution by the vocalists just nail it. The vocalist names are Alan and Jeremy. They really do stand on their own. Really big kudos to the vocal delivery and performance on this album. If you like the first songs that I mentioned, Object Permanence and Formative Age, you'll like the rest of the album. Also love how the final song loops back into the intro song. That's fun. You know, it really digs that modern feel where you're realizing that most people are going to be listening to this on a playlist rather than like a vinyl or something like that. It's just a loving thing if you like to listen to albums on repeat, and if you like to listen to songs and things like that without necessarily having to go flip a vinyl or interpret it in the most pure way. It keeps it almost like the playlist is a pure way. And it also is a little bit of an understanding of how people ingest their material, which I always recommend for producers to do. I would like to see these guys a little bit more produce some of their clips on TikTok. I see them on Twitter posting like their concert videos that are fucking crazy. People climbing over each other, screaming the lyrics back at them, right up in their face, just like I imagine they would with this kind of songwriting. And if they're not on TikTok, they need to post that shit on TikTok. I know they're Canadian, so TikTok may not be so big in their area, but I promise everything would grow if they posted those videos on TikTok. And they literally have nothing to lose from it. I am overall going to give this album an A+. This is one of my favorite of the year. I'm probably for this year not going to have too many lower graded albums. I'm probably going to go A+ to maybe B+ area. I'll probably try to review a ton of those albums that I really like that I can kind of talk about from memory. Next year, I'm probably going to do a lot more quantity and quality to kind of get a little bit more variety so you don't think I'm going to immediately like the album that I'm talking about. Just because this year's already so close to ending, I'm also going to try to do a really long video at the end of the year where I talk about everything I listen to. I'm just going to like rapid fire through them all because there's like over 100 albums and EPs. It'll probably be a long video where I'm just rambling about all these different things. I'm probably not going to be as cohesive, but if you'd like to watch it, absolutely be my guest. Thank you for watching. Okay, the band's socials on Spotify, everything will be in the description, as well as my socials on Spotify. You can follow me, try to catch some of my playlists. I listen to a ton of different artists from a ton of different genres, and you can message me on Twitter if you want me to check something out, and I'll see if I can. Thank you. Peace.